Hello everyone, this is Mr. Serrano. We're practicing the CLT-10. I'm already like 10 minutes behind because I was setting my audio and video. So as you can see, this is a practice test. You want to see the formulas aloud? You click there, down, left, and hide. No calculators, so we have to do this by hand. Question 81 says, which of the following two shapes appear to be similar? So I do see a rectangle here and a rhombus there. Number one is a parallelogram, and so is number three. So I am going to choose B, 1 and 3. Great. So number two, a single diagonal divides a square. So let's try to draw a square and do one single diagonal like that. And so we have two right triangles. The answer simply is 2. And we move on. By the way, when I get to a question that's going to take longer, I'm going to probably move it to video 2 or at the end of this video. I won't have time because of the 10 minutes I lost. So this is two right triangles. Okay, I'm going to clear my drawings. And let me move on to 83. It says that all of the girls in Mrs. Bird's math class have at least one sibling. Given this information, so that's it. So Mrs. Bird has girls and boys, and the girls have at least one sibling. So sibling is greater than or equal to 1, but sibling is not defining me whether it's a brother or a sister. So that's all we know. We cannot infer anything about the boys because all the information we have is that the girls in Mrs. Bird's math have at least one sibling. So, A, none of the boys in Mrs. Bird's math class have siblings. We don't know. All of the girls in, by the way, we don't know if these are brothers or sisters, so we don't know if they're male or female. So I'm going to do that for male, I'm going to do that for female, but we don't know, really. So, all boys and girls, even better, boys and girls. So again, Mrs. Bird has girls and boys, of which we know nothing. And the girls have a sibling, but if the sibling is a boy or a girl, this is a B. We don't know. So none of the boys, we don't know anything about the boys. All the girls have at least one sister. We don't know if it's a sister, so no. All of the boys, again, we don't know anything about the boys. So none of the above must be true. That's the only possible answer that makes sense according to what the information which was given to us. So let me erase and let me choose none of the above. All right, I'm going to scroll down. All right, 84. Let's do kittens over puppies, and we keep it that way. So the ratio is 4 kittens, so that's 4 on top, and 1 puppy, so that's 1. Now the center has 60 kittens, so kittens go on top. Okay, how many puppies? So we're looking for this information, puppies. This is a cross multiplication problem, a proportion. So we're gonna cross multiply. And we're gonna say that 4p is equal to 1 times 60, which is 60. We need to then divide by 4. And because there's no calculator, remember this is in over out, or 60 divided by 4. This is still in over out. So out, I write the 4, and then 60. 4 fits into 6 one time. 4 times 1. 4 times 1 is 4. I change the sign, I subtract, and I get 20. And 4 times 5 is 20. So the answer is 15. So do I have a 15? Yes, B. Choice B, 15 puppies. Actually, I'm not gonna erase and mark the answer because it doesn't matter what I get in the practice test. Okay, as you know, x times the quantity x plus 3, we need to distribute. So this is going to be x times x, which is x to the second, and then x times 3, which is 3x. And do I have an answer like that? Yes, I do. It's choice D. Okay. A line passes to the points 0, 0 and 5, 4. Great. So this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. The formula for the slope, m, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, meaning that I need to now substitute the values. So it's 4 minus 0, which is 4 over 5 minus 0. So this is equal to 4 over 5. And that's my choice C. I do have an answer 4 over 5. Okay, now pause if you need to, because I'm going to erase my drawings. And I'm going to scroll down to see more questions. Okay, the area of the triangle, you can see it here, is half of the base times height. Parentheses first, so I'm going to multiply base times height, which is 4 times 3. And then 1/2 means divide by 2. So this is all going to be equal to base 4 times height in parentheses, and then divided by 2. Or over 2 is the same thing. So that's 12 divided by 2. No calculator, so you have to know it's 6. Let me close the formulas. I'm gonna erase stuff. The next question is, what could be the sequence here? All right, let me write the sequence and see. They all have a 1 as a numerator or top. I'm missing this fraction right here. And then I have a 1 over 16 and a 1 over 25 and a 1 over 36. So I'm going to assume that this is going to be a 1. Now, what's the number that goes below? The 1 doesn't change. So what's happening here? What is 4, 16, 25, and 36? They are perfect squares. So whenever we have a number, right, and we square it, we multiply that number times itself. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. I made the same mistake I tell you not to make. 4 squared is 4 times 4, 16, and 5 to the second is 5 times 5, 25. So these numbers are beginning to look very familiar. I have the 4, I have the 16, and the 25. I know that 6 squared is 36. That means that the number that is missing is 9. So my answer must be 1 over 9, which is going to be a fraction here. Option C. Okay, if you need to pause, because I'm going to clear all my drawings, I'm running out of time. And I understand the pressure, believe me. Okay, now 89 says if an integer a is odd and positive, then a plus 2 must be. So what are odd and positive? 2, 4, 6 are even, so odd have to be a whole number that is positive, is an integer, a positive integer. So I'm going to go with 1, 3, 5, 7. What happens if we add 2 to the number? Let's say our number was 7. Let a be equal to 7. So a plus 2 is 7 plus 2, which is equal to 9, which is another odd integer, positive. So odd and positive is 8. All right. When we solve this equation, hopefully you can see, well, I'll write it. Negative 5y is greater than 35. To solve for y, we need to divide both sides of the inequality by negative 5. By negative 5. And what do we do when we divide it by a negative? Remember, flip the sign. Change and flip. Flip it real good. Cancel cancels. Y is less than negative because this sign I cannot ignore. And 5 goes into 35 7 times. Okay. Equilateral triangle means all sides are the same. All angles are the same. So each angle is 60. They're all the same. And one side is the square root of 3. That means that all the other sides are the square root of 3 in length, which is about 1.7 units. So the question is, what is the measure of the opposite angle? Well, any angle in an equilateral triangle measures 60 degrees. I'm sure you can feel confident that you can do this. The line y equals 5 is reflected across the x-axis. So we have y equals 5. As you know, the y-axis is going to be the vertical line and then over the x-axis. So if this is the y-axis, the horizontal line is the x-axis. We count 5, and that's what we're going to trace our equation or line of the equation y equals 5. Let me see if I can change the color here. So, okay. So y equals 5 is a horizontal line. And it says that we're going to reflect it across the x-axis. That means that x is my mirror. Reflection is like a mirror, right? So I need to mirror this line across, meaning going through the x-axis. And because the closer you are to the mirror, the bigger your face looks, and the farther away you are, then the mirror reflects that. So this distance has to be the same as the reflection. So I'm going to reflect this line like that. And it's obviously, if it's the same distance, it's going to be also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or so. Well, you know this is 5. So this is negative 5. This point right here is negative 5 for y. So 0 for x, negative 5 for y. And my equation is y equals negative 5 when it is reflected. Let me do something here. Let me get rid of the mirror things. I'm perfect. So that's 5 and that's negative 5. So y equals negative 5 should be my choice. Choice C it is. I thought I had, okay. Choice C, okay. If you need to pause, do it because I'm going to erase everything and continue scrolling. I'm sure there was a way to somehow make pictures, take pictures of this, and I don't have to worry about the time. However, that's not happening. So now I have 20 minutes and Well, it says I only answered 3 questions over here, but that's because I'm only circling the answer for you. All right. So to save time again. So when that happens, it's gonna say 3 out of 40 and 21 minutes. But really, I'm on question 93. I think I don't know how many we have done. So, all right, absolute value is the distance from 0 to a number. So distance is always positive, right? Imagine if your thumb is 1 centimeter away from your index finger, they basically touching. So if they're touching, the distance is 0. Imagine a negative distance. That would be like inserting your thumb into your index finger. It doesn't make sense. So distance is always positive, which means that this absolute bar turns negatives into positives because the distance between 0 and 25 is 25 units and keeps any positive number as positive. So the distance between 0 and 3 is equal to 3. So no matter what's inside, outside is always positive. So if you see the bars, whatever comes inside the bars, -8, that's going to be 8. 10, that's going to be 10. It's the distance between the number and 0 on the number line, so it's positive. Okay, so this is then 25. We're working with 25. And what is equivalent to 25? Okay, 5 squared, we did it before, is 5 times 5, which is 25. I would choose one answer because these are only one answer questions and move on. However, let me explain because I know that you have been taught the wrong thing, that this is also a positive 25, but it is not because the exponent only affects the 5, not the negative. So the negative we keep carrying, and 5 squared, it works like that, is 25. All right, C is -35. If anybody's interested, then this is the opposite of what's inside. So this is 20 minus 5, which is 15. Again, try to save time by moving on and finding what the next question is. Okay, next question indeed. What a segue, huh, into the next question. So rectangles, all rectangles have 4 angles that are 90 degrees. So right angle, right angle, right angle, and right angle. Let me see my choices. Angle A is 90, that's correct. AD and BC, we don't know yet. Oh, angle A is greater than angle B, no. And A and D is 90 plus 90, which is 180. So that's also correct. This must be correct, but 90 cannot be greater than 90. Let's say this was A and this was B. They're both 90, so it's not greater. This is the incorrect answer. So false matches incorrect. So your choice is C. Let me erase a little bit. Enough to say that that is incorrect. So we're going to choose C. All right. Okay, number 95 takes time. So I'm going to leave it for later. I know that. Let me make a note to myself about which questions I am leaving for later. And the first one is going to be 95. Obviously, if you want a perfect score, you need to answer all the questions. But in the meantime, answer the ones that are fast, because you know the CLT allows you to skip questions and look at them later, and that's great. So, clear, I'm gonna erase. I'm gonna scroll down. All right, and then I'm going to read 96. A triangle has one angle that measures 90 and 2 legs that are equal in length. So that's an isosceles triangle when you have 2 legs that are the same. So let's do that. Let's say that we have a right triangle with a 90-degree angles. but this side measures the same at this side. That's why they have that symbol, meaning they're equal in length. The hypotenuse then has two angles that are also the same because they're opposite the legs. The hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle, like that. So that's the hypotenuse, and the other two are the same length. So if the triangles inside a triangle have to add up to 180, and these two are the same, that means that we need to do 90 divided by 2 because they're equally divided into 2. 90 plus 90, of course, is 80. So 90 divided by 2 goes into 9 4 times. (45 degrees) each angle. So it is isosceles. That happens when you have two legs that are equal in length. That is the definition of isosceles. And then, obviously, by the diagram, my angles are 90, 45 because they're equal. As these two legs opposite are equal, the angles must be equal. So that's 1 and that is 3. Besides the right angle, the two remaining angles are both 45 or each 45. So 1 and 3 only is the correct answer. Okay, perpendicular lines. Let me erase first. If you need to pause, but I'm erasing. All right, perpendicular lines have the inverse opposite slopes. So if the slope of a line is 2 over 1, 2 or 2 over 1, then the inverse reciprocal means that we need to change the sign to negative and we need to flip the fraction as 1 over 2. All right, so that's what perpendicular means. And I'm going to write the symbol for perpendicularity. Right? All right, that. So if one is 2, the other one has to be negative 1 over 2. If one was 3 over 5, if they're going to be perpendicular, then the other one needs to be the opposite sign, and 5 negative 5 over 3. These two slopes, which is of course the number that comes before the x. So we're talking about 3 or 5x. The other number doesn't matter too much at all, or nothing at all. And y equals negative 5 over 3x. These two lines are going to be perpendicular to each other. Great. So I see that we have here 2's and halves. So 2x and 2x, they're parallel lines, not perpendicular. Negative x and negative x, the same. Here we have a negative 1 over 2 and a positive 2 or 2 over 1. So these are perpendicular. All right, notice that the slope is the one number in front of the x after a single y equals. All right, this is a half, but it's positive, and this is a positive. So two positive slopes are not going to be perpendicular lines. So we can cancel that. We can cancel those. My answer is C. Those are when you flip the fraction, right? And the sign. 2 over 1 and negative 1 over 2, perpendicular. Perp as in perpetrator, but perpendicular. All right. I'm going to erase. You can pause if you want to. And scroll. Okay, how many integers between 1 and 30 meet both conditions below? The integer is prime, and the sum of the digits of the integer has to be equal or less than 3. Okay, so let's list all the prime numbers between 1 and 30. We don't need to. But 1 is not prime because you need a number different than 1 times 1 to be the factors of those numbers. So like 2 is 2 times 1. All right, so we have 2 being prime. I thought I had pressed the color. Okay. 2 is prime. 3 is prime. 4 has also 2 times 2, so no. 5, yes, it's 1 and 5. 1 is not prime again because it's repeating 1 times 1, so it has to be 1 times something else. 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, but 11 and 13. So this is saying that the sum of the digits. So, okay, so what are all the digits of these numbers? So 0 plus 2 is equal to 2. 0 plus 3 is equal to 3. And then 1 plus 1 for 11 is equal to 2. 13 is 1 plus 3. That's going to be equal to 4. This is obviously going to be equal to 5, and that's 7. But it says equal or less than 3. So this one qualifies. This one qualifies, and 11. That's 2. That's 3. And 11 are the only prime numbers whose digits add to 3 or less than 3. So I have 3 of them. So my answer is C, 3. All right. If an integer is a factor of 14, very good. Let's do the factoring of 14. 14 can be 1 times 14. Or 14 can also be 2 times 7. That's it. Okay, so integer a. So any of this could be a. A equals 1, 14 is also 2 is 7. So a is a factor of 7? No, because 2 wouldn't be a factor of 7, nor 14. So a is incorrect. A multiple of 7, sorry, meaning like 14, 17. So the one, let me erase that. The one I eliminated was being a factor of 7. That's the one I just eliminated. Okay, these numbers must be a factor of 7. So the factors of 7 are like 7, 14, 21, and neither 2 again. 2 nor 1 can be that. So it's not a multiple of 7, much less a multiple of 28, because it's going to be 28, then 56. We don't see a 1 or a 2 that could be a. So again, or 14, or 7. So none of them are multiples of 28. So that means that is a fact. These 4 numbers, 1, 14, 2, and 7, have to be a factor of 28. Let's do the test. Let's do the factoring of 28. 28 can be 1 and 28. It can be 2 and 14. And it also can be 4 times 7. If I remember correctly, that's all the factors, if we don't include negative factors. And all we have to know is that these numbers here belong also to the factoring tree of 28. And I do see the 1, I see the 2, I see the 14, and I see the 7. So A can be either number, and they all match the factors of 28. So D is your answer. All right. Next question to skip is 100, because it takes time. Let me erase. And let me read question 101. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. All right triangles, he says, a student, she or he, they say all right triangles have at least two side lengths that are equal. Okay, so they're now saying, which of the following is a counterexample that disproves? In other words, we need something that say that there's at least one right triangle that doesn't have two lengths that are equal. All right. So a right triangle with two angles measuring 45, that's an isosceles triangle, right? We saw this before. So that doesn't eliminate the possibility that all right triangles have at least two side lengths that are equal. Okay, here's the tricky part. A scalene triangle, we know that there are no three sides that are the same. No sides are the same in a scalene triangle. So something like this and like that, that would be a scalene triangle because the hypotenuse is greater than the base and the height is the shortest. The problem is with this, 1, 2, and 3, a triangle do not make. All right, so if you have a segment length that is 3, and you want to create a triangle with 1, and then 2, 1, 2, you're going to be short. Obviously, because we can, if we put the 1 and the 2 together, let's say that's 1, and then that's 2, that's one line. If we put the 1 and the 2 together, there's no space, because really these are connected. There's no space for it to be a triangle, because we don't have this side. That would be another shape. So it's basically this line and the other line on top of it or adjacent to it. So 1, 2, 3 doesn't make a triangle. All right, so you have to have any two sides, like 1 and 2 would have to be greater than 3. So that's the trick. Isosceles means two sides are the same. So none of these apply. The only correct answer is D, a right triangle with an area of 10 and a side length of 2. So let's say we have this one, that's a side length of 2. To get a side length, to get an area, we need this to be 20. 2 times 20 divided by 2 is 10. So this length is 20. And this is going to be, let me see, 20 square plus 2 square would be the square root of, it's going to be more than 20. We know that in a right triangle, the hypotenuse is always the longest side. So this side is hypotenuse is greater than 20, which means that this disproves what the student is claiming. No side is the same here. Okay, now 102, an isosceles triangle has one angle that measures 100, sorry. I'm losing it. So that would be like something like this, more than 90. So this is my 100. And because we have two equal sides, these two angles are the same. These two have to add up to 80 because 180 is the three angles together. That means that I have to split 80 into two, 40 degrees and 40 degrees. My answer is A. I'm going to erase. And I think I'm going to have time. I'm going to have time to do, even if time runs out, I can do this 3. Very good. So unless it takes me away, we'll see what happens when I run out of time. Because I'm explaining it, not just answering. Okay, so a square is divided. That's not too much of a square, but what counts is this. Those are 90-degree angles in a square, and when you cut them in half, Now each little piece like that is 45. So we do it twice. So each little shaded piece is 45 degrees. That means that's 45 degrees. 45 and 45 is 90. And of course, because we're crossing the diagonals, these are right angles. So that means that we have 90, 45, and 45. Like so. All right, so yeah, it's A. Okay, the average is, or mean, is 6.5. And the highest of 4 is 7. So at least we have a 7, but nothing above 7. And what's the lowest possible magnitude? All right, so to get the lowest, we need to make them all 7. That way, this number has to be really low if we want to bring the mean down to 6 or the average down to 6.5. Because if we had 6.5 and 6.5 and 7, then all we need is a 6, and the average will be 6.5, right? When you add this 4 and divide by 4, you're going to get 6.5 as your answer, obviously. So here we have 21. Here you have 21 plus 5 is the number that we need. So 4 will not cut it. So 21 plus 5 is 26, and we need to divide that by 4. So 4 goes into 26 6 times. 4 times 6 is 24. Now that's 2 and a point, decimal point gives me a 0. And 4 goes into 25 times. So 5 is the only number that works out of my choices, 3, 4, and 5. And your choice D, I think it was like, we cannot determine from the information given. Yes, we can. We can use the 5 when all the other earthquakes were 7, and the 4 of them would average out when we add, like I did, 21, that's 7 plus 7 plus 7, that's 21, plus 5 is 26, divided by the number of entries, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's what I have this for here. And the average comes out to exactly 6.5. So your choice should be, choice is answer equal to 5, whatever letter that was. Okay, so we're gonna have to stop here, and I'll find out what the number was so that I can pick up from there. That's okay. So let me stop right there. And I know that I'm missing questions 95 and 100.